Hey guys, so you asked for it, and today we're going to be going over my Estela guide. I just want to preface this video. I do have Estela at talent level 6. That's not going to affect what I say. I'm going to still give recommendations for what I think you should do artifact-wise if you don't have talent level 6. But I do want to reference that just at the start. That way, if you don't like that, that's okay. I'm sorry, but that's where my Estela is. Enjoy the character. I liked her a lot, and I got really lucky on my pulls. So that's where we are. However, we're going to start off pretty simple. We're on the overview screen. We're going to start with her weapons, okay? So I think the Battle Pass exotic is just for general comfy play is her best option for an exotic. It's fantastic in terms of the catalyst boost, giving you ammo back, kind of like Outbreak in Destiny. And also the criticality point is really nice because if you get it up on an enemy, you can then switch to your machine gun and it'll refund ammo on the machine gun as well. But just for general use, I think Furies is phenomenal. Feels good to use. It's one of the best feeling pulses, I think, in the game. And then for strictly boss DPS scenarios, you're going to want to run Gallows. And this is if you're just absolutely min-maxing boss DPS. Gallows will be your best in slot DPS weapon. I've only got one copy of it, so I haven't really invested into it. And the way I play this game, I'd rather play more comfy. I'm not going for absolute min-maxed boss kill times. My Estela does plenty of damage, but if you're lower talent levels, that's where it could be more beneficial. But even at T0, Estela's damage output is insane. I've seen T0 Estela's outdamage T6 Gwyn's. So I just want to throw that out there. Gallows would be your best option for boss damage. And what I run is Scorched Earth. Main reason I run it, it's not for the damage it deals, it's for the rate of fire. Estela wants RPMs, so that way she can build up her misfortune and get more of her little buddies out. I call them the homies. So you hear me reference homies, that's what I'm talking about, her little, her summons. So Scorched Earth is great. I do not have the role that I want on it quite yet. I would like to get Fraternity and Glutton. Reason I like Fraternity over Annihilation is just because you have this damage boost active at all times when you're solo, and then when you're in a fire team, as long as your friends or your fire team members aren't dead, you have that active without any conditions. Whereas Annihilation, yes, it will give you more damage, but it's based on decreasing the enemy's health, which is, I mean, that's fine. It's all preference when it comes to, I think, these perks. I think for absolute best damage, Annihilation will be best. But for general use, always having the damage boost of Fraternity, that's my preference. And then, personally, I go with Glutton in perk 2. So I'm looking for a Fraternity Glutton, and that's what I recommend just for general play. You'll notice on Estela, and Heavy's pretty generous in this game, you can use your machine gun as pretty much your primary for a lot. And so you'll be able to get those Glutton stacks up. And outside of Expanse or Chaos, Glutton stacks stick through until you die. So it's a pretty consistent damage boost. When you have the mod for it, I believe it goes up to 20 times stacks. So that's 45% damage when you have it maxed. And so that is my preference. I would say I do like Clepsydra. Clepsydra doesn't have a boost from exotic mods. So like I actually currently have a Fraternity Clepsydra. I don't have it up to gear level 85. I goofed and used my Grandmaster mats to get this one up, and this isn't even the one I wanted, but I digress. Scorched Earth is my preference. A lot of people can make an argument for coverage. You can go with the Arc Machine Gun. Traits-wise, I think auto-loading is kind of a no-brainer for me. It just feels good, especially if you have the exotic mod, because it'll overflow. Syncopation is going to be your best for damage on it. Misfortune's Confetti can help make up for the lack of fire rate. So this one's RPMs, we're looking at 360, so it's a bit slow. I believe Estela's RPM cap is 600 for building Misfortune stacks, but Misfortune's Confetti can help with that because of the ricochet rounds. So if you're using it for general mobbing, I do believe auto-loading Misfortunes is going to be your best role. If you wanted to go for boss DPS, you're looking at Vorpal Syncopation. Okay. And Syncopation does have a exotic mod upgrade. Vorpal doesn't. So you pick and choose there. But for me, I'm I'm personally in a recommendation of Furies plus Scorched Earth. And so that's kind of the weapons that covers that. Her relic abilities, obviously you want to get them up as high as you can. Unfortunately, with like the metal grinding and everything and me investing in a bunch of characters, I'm at 17, 17, 18. I'll max her out once I get more of the clusters. These are a big time gate for now. And then her weapon masteries are all big. 4s, I think a lot of characters get a big jump at 4. And for her, I think it's fantastic because your accidents actually deal a ton of damage. And then this decreasing the amount of time to trigger an accident just means that they happen more often. And then Weapon Mastery 5 just giving you even more damage is great. I mean, the whole key to Estela's kit is getting corruption on an enemy with your Misfortune's Guide ability and laying into it to deal more damage to them, to cause more accidents, and to get more of your friends up. We'll go into artifacts. And so this is where there can be some differences depending on your talent levels and what you're aiming for in the game. So for me, since I do have to, and I'll go over the talent level over here. I mean, I know you guys all have it in game, but I'll explain why it differs, right? So this one is a big one. Her T1 gives her summons healing for themselves and Estela. So it allows you to kind of change around how you'd run her artifacts. And her T3 increasing that duration to 42 seconds is big. Those are kind of the two big quality of life ones that it's unfortunate they're in talent trees. If you were to pull, I think T1 is a good stopping point if you wanted to go for extras. T3 is great quality of life, though, because it almost doubles your summons uptime. They go from 25 to 42 seconds. But T1 allows you to get a lot more flexibility with your artifacts in terms of healing. So I'm going to go over for the artifacts that I recommend for T1 and above Estela's to play kind of how I go about it. In slot 1, we go with Warding Pact. It's just flat, at set effect 4 right now, minus 8.79% damage, stacks 3 times. So a little over 25% damage reduction just for having 3 summons on the field. And you can have, and that's level 1 summons even. So if you wanted to just start an engagement with level 1 summons, you can have the DR and then build up your summons. That's an option. So that is my call for warning, or for tier 1 and above Estela's there. Slot 2, I run Ring of Conversion because the amount of healing you're getting out of your summons is giving you a ton of overflow healing. I'll go into the substats after. Actually, well, we're here now, so I'll go over them now. In terms of substats, personally, and I don't think there's any concrete this is best. This is my preference. Again, everything is my opinion, my preference. Everyone has their preferences on their defensive substats. I like flat damage reductions. I've tried running health and shield, and I feel like it just doesn't, and it could be a feel thing, but I just feel like I'm just not as tanky. I die quicker. Whereas for me, defense boost giving flat damage resistance, and I'm not even looking at the extra substat bonuses. Those are great, but I'm looking at just their main, what they do. So getting that flat damage resistance, I like elemental resistance because all enemies' attacks in this game deal elemental damage minus melees and stomps. But any projectile-based attack deals elemental damage, so those will compound together. And then snipers in this game hurt. And range damage resistance doesn't only apply to snipers, it's any enemies outside of 15 meters away. And on a character like Estela, you're usually playing a little bit further back. So having that extra 24.2% resistance to long range damage, I think is incredibly beneficial. For me, those are my big 3. When I get into exotics, what I'd probably add want as my 4th would either be health or shield boost, just for some extra effective HP. That's kind of where I'm at with my defensive substats and choices for a T1 and above Estela. While I'm here, I'm going to go into what I'd recommend for a T0 Estela. So for a T0 Estela, I would look at Nourishing Pact in slot 1, just so that way you have a pretty consistent way to get health. Depending on where your misfortune stacks are, you can literally get a flat almost 50% heal by throwing out 3 summons really quickly. So if you're in a pinch, you can throw one out for some health. I think that's awesome. You could make the argument to stay on Warding Pact at T0, and that's totally fine. I completely understand that. If you were to do that, that's when I would recommend something like Healing Mutation, So you can just constantly be healing while you're shooting targets with your summons. Healing Mutation is a great way to increase health. The Siphoning Pact is a decent option. I wasn't a fan of it. And then you can also run Bulwark Pact just to give your summons more health. But I think overall best if you're going, what I would do is if I was T0 and under, I would run Warding Pact still for the DR and Healing Mutation, because you're always shooting. You're not just having your summons go out there and do everything for you. So that way you can have a consistent flow of health. Now, slots 3 and 4, T0 through T6, this is what I recommend personally. T3 or Artifact 3, we're looking at Bellicose Pact. It's end all be all. I think it's the best. It's just your summons are dealing more damage. Your summons deal majority of your damage. We'll go into substats, and this is what I prefer on an exotic, but I'll explain what the other options could be. So signature boost, that's going to boost your summons. Ability strength is great because not only does it affect your summons and your Misfortune's Guide, your ability strength affects all relic abilities, and your super actually counts as a relic ability. So that's going to help boost your super. And then super boost, your super does so much damage. So speccing into super boost, absolutely worth it. Weapon enhancements where you could make an argument for like solar boost. I wanted to put a little bit more emphasis on her weapons because I am shooting with her a lot. I want to feel like she's doing something. But the most optimal route would probably be solar boost, just because that's going to boost all of her abilities and her weapons if you're using solar weapons. So I am. So solar boost would probably be the best overall. But I personally am okay with weapon enhancement in that slot. I think either of those are a good option. If you did want to, for some reason, lean into just playing like weapon damage, a main weapon damage Estela, and using your summons as like more support damage, you could look at Rampaging Pack. Just because this one's going to grant Estela the damage bonus, but I really do think Bellicose Pact is just best in slot and all be all for slot 3. Slot 4, there's two main options. You've got Responsive Pact, and then we've got Resonating Pact. I'm going to explain why I run a Responsive Pact, and I'll explain a situation where I would run Resonating Pact. So, Responsive Pact is just a generic, grants my summons pack damage. It's for 6 seconds. I'm frequently throwing out a summon every 6 seconds just to kind of keep that going. On top of that, if I'm not doing that, your Misfortune's Guide is on an 8-second cooldown. So if you ran this and only ever procced it with Misfortune's Guide, you would have 2 seconds of downtime. But I like this because then when my summons go off and attack things that I'm not attacking with them, they're still dealing extra damage. Whereas Responsive Pack can be, or the Resonating Pack can be really restrictive. Now, these are, if you've got a mythic, these are the substats I recommend, similar to slot 3. You want to match your substats the best you can. So I'm running a mythic here, even though I have an exotic with higher power, just because this doesn't have super boost on it. And so if I'm doing content that's at or below my power level, I'd rather run the mythic. That way I can get more benefits out of my substats. If I need the power level, I put this exotic on. But so like I said, I run Responsive Pact because I prefer the generic damage multiplier. It's lazier for sure, but that's the way. I don't like to sweat that hard when I play this game. I'm just playing to have a good time. I want my little homies to be able to go out and deal as much damage as they can, even if they're attacking something that I'm not attacking with them. Now, if we're going into you're running Gallows, you're looking for the best absolute standalone DPS situation, you're looking at Resonating Pact. Resonating Pact, especially when you get to set effect 5, your summons are getting an extra 47% damage if they're attacking the same target as you. That counts for your super. And so if you're doing a boss DPS phase like final encounter of the Gauntlet Onslaught, that's going to be a significant jump of damage compared to this one giving 40%. So it's giving you 7% more damage at set effect 5 than Responsive Pact does. And it doesn't have any timer restrictions. So there is a little bit less management there. I just choose not to run it on my general all-purpose build because I don't want to have to worry about my summons dealing, 32% less damage when they're not attacking something I'm attacking. So in terms of artifacts, that's kind of how I go about it. And then the other thing that I think is important is Estela's damage rotation. So we're going to look into her relic abilities again, right? We're looking at Misfortune's Guide, okay? So dealing damage to hit combatants, inflicting them with misfortune. Misfortune marks the targets, and you want to shoot those targets because they summons attacks deal an extra 35% damage to marked targets. The thing about Estela is a lot of people will throw out their Misfortune's Guide, and then they'll throw out their summons or things like that. When it comes to her rotation, you do want to have your summons out. You get that Misfortune's Guide on, and they're going to deal significant damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the practice range. We're going to take a little peek. Just going to show you some differences. But I want to make sure he has unlimited health. That's I don't know if that's saved. It did. Okay, great. And I have to replace him. I'm silly. Perfect. Okay. So what I mean by that is we're gonna hit him with the Q first. Then we'll throw our summons. We'll just see over the course of 10 seconds how much damage it deals. So 391. $391,000 doing it that way. Okay. Through Misfortune's Guide first. Gonna reset. He came back. That's okay. Downside of having a longer duration is the summons coming back. We're gonna wait for him to go. Great. So now what we're gonna do, so that was in 10 seconds, we did 391 total damage. Now we're gonna throw out our summon first, and then we're gonna hit him with that. So slightly more damage, but that's with one summon. Okay, so it did a little over 400,000. Just from having summon out and then hitting with Misfortune. And that's without us shooting the target. So the biggest thing is you want to get your summons out, hit the Misfortune, and then it's go time. Cool thing about Estela 2 that some people might not know, her ult will pause the corruption timer. So corruption will stay on the target longer. And doing that will allow you to make sure that you're dealing maximum damage the whole time. We're going to put the corruption on. And we'll just watch. Notice how the corruption hasn't left. So essentially what that means is if you have corruption on a target, even if it's about to run out, if you get the boss up, it'll pause that corruption and it'll keep it at the uptime even longer. So with her rotation for the little guys, you want to have them out, put your corruption on. And I'm going to show just what an optimal rotation is. We've got the 3 guys out. We're going to get 3 level 3s because we're going to represent a DPS scenario. Get the 3 guys out, and then we're going to ult. We're going to shoot with it. And I'm going to throw another one out just to get my summoning boost back up. And so that's how I go about my damage rotation with Estela. And like I said, yeah, so that's my general play. When I am building characters and looking at artifacts, I'm not necessarily always going for the most hyper min-maxed setup. I'm going for the most comfortable way to play without having to really hyper manage things. You could argue that using the one responsive pack that I use would be somewhat mismanaging or micromanaging, but I don't mind hitting an ability every 6 seconds. Or, like I said, just casting my Misfortune's Guide on cooldown will get me only 2 seconds downtime. So that pretty much makes it almost impossible for me to have to quote unquote micromanage, just because I'm always trying to get my Misfortune's Guide out as soon as it comes off cooldown. So if you have any questions or think I missed something or want me to go more in depth, please drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. It's my first time trying to make a character build guide. I wanted to try to cover everything, so I'm sorry if it went a little long, but I just wanted to make sure I got my information out there about how I play and how I built her. And like I said, I plan to make more character build guides in the future, so please give me constructive feedback. I'd love to hear it. And if you felt like you got anything from this video, it'd be greatly appreciated if you dropped a like. Subscribe if you want to stick around and see more content. If you don't, tell me what I can do in the comments to earn your subscriptions. I don't want them just given to me. I'd like to earn them. So otherwise, I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.